Chapter 3.
We're going to be writing Chapter 3 of Humphrey, The World According to Humphrey.
Okay, that's
The Two Faces of Miss Brisbane. That week was busy, but I learned a lot. I learned all the capitals of the United States. I didn't say I remembered them all. I learned them all. I learned about the water changes from soil to liquid to gas. I learned how to subtract fractions. I learned something else, something very weird. There are two Mrs. Brisbanes, and I thought one was good enough. Was one too many? Miss Brisbane was one too many. The first Miss Brisbane is a good teacher, just like Otto said she's better than Miss Mac. Was at getting AJ to lower his voice. She's better at getting Heidi to raise her hand before she blurted something out. Of course, nobody could get Speak Up Saya to raise her hand or blurt out anything out loud. Saya is so quiet and gentle. She never gives any answer if the teacher calls on her. She stares down at her desk without saying a word, but when it's Saya's turn to clean my cage and feed me, she holds me in her hand so gentle I feel like I'm floating on a cloud. "Hello, Humphrey," she whispers. "Your fur is so beautiful. I always feel calmer, Saya, when Saya holds me. She's so nice. I wish Miss Brisbane would leave her alone." Miss Mac hardly ever called on Saya. Once she realized how shy she was, but Miss Brisbane calls on her all the time. She won't leave her alone. "Saya, speak up, please. I know you know the answer," she'd say while Saya stared at the top of her desk as if she were watching a TV there, but I was shocked when Miss Brisbane got annoyed with Saya, sweet, shy Saya, and said, "You will stay in during recess." Saya still stared down at her desk without moving a muscle. But a minute later, I saw something wet drop from Saya's eye to the table desk. I hated Mrs. Brisbane. Of course, I don't go out to recess. In fact, I'm glad, since it's a great time to catch up on my sleep. So I was there when Miss Brisbane talked to Saya, and I was all ready to squeak up on her behalf if necessary. Miss Brisbane brought a sack of paper to the table and sat down across from Saya. "Saya, you think I'm being mean to you, don't you?" Saya slowly shook her head. "No." I healthily nodded my head yes, but no one was looking at me. "But I wouldn't call on you if I didn't think I didn't know that you know the answer. The teacher explained, look at your paper and test. You get 100% on every spelling, science, geography, and arithmetics. Your vocabulary is excellent, but I have never heard you speak. Can you tell me why? I checked on my notebook and I was pretty impressed. I only got an 85% on the last vocabulary test. This girl is smart. Saya still did not speak. Saya, I'm going to have to send a note home to your parents. Maybe they can help me figure out what to do, said Miss Brisbane. Saya looked up, very frightened. No, please, she said. Miss Brisbane looked surprised. She reached over and patted Saya's arm. I won't send a note now if you promise to try. Saya looked back down at the desk and nodded. I'll tell you what, I won't call on you. If you promise that sometimes within the next week you'll raise your hand on your own and answer a question, is that a deal? Saya nodded very slowly this time. You have to say it, Miss Brisbane told her. Deal, Saya whispered. Terrific, said Miss Brisbane, smiling. Now, how would you like to erase the board for me? Saya jumped up and hurried to the board. All the students in room 26 like to erase the board. For some reason, Miss Brisbane was sure hard to figure out. She hadn't been mean to Saya at all. She just did what a teacher is supposed to do. I liked Miss Brisbane. I even liked the pink blouse she had on. But at the end of the day, when the students were gone, the second Miss Brisbane came back, the really scary one. She straightened up the room and came over to the window close to the blinds. I could only hope that Otto would open them for me later. She looked down and saw that the table around me was messy. The bag of shavings used for my bedding had torn and bits of litter were scattered all over the table. Garth had done the cleaning and left the lid off my treat box. The whole table looked untidy. Good grief, said Miss Brisbane in a very unhappy voice. I decided to take a spin on my wheel. Usually that cheers people up, but not Mrs. Brisbane. She started to clean the table, getting paper towels and cleaning spray and muttering to herself the whole time. Not my job, she grumbled. These children are not responsible. All I need is somebody else to take care of some rodents. Nobody says rodents quite the way Mrs. Brisbane does. Then she looked down at me with angry eyes and said, "You are a troublemaker, and somehow I'm going to get rid of you." Then she grabbed her purse and her paper and stumbled out of room 26. For once, I didn't mind being left alone. I didn't even mind the tick, tick, tick of the clock. I was just glad that the second Miss Brisbane was gone. I was worried about what she'd said about, but I kept my mind occupied by practicing my vocabulary words until the light was completely gone. If Saya got 100% correct, why couldn't I? Then I sat and waited. Suddenly, bright lights blinded my eyes as the door swung open and a familiar voice roamed. "Never fear, Otto's here." Otto rolled his car over to my cage and put his face right down next to mine. How's it going, Humphrey?" he asked. I tried to squeak out my story, but Otto didn't quite catch what I was saying. "Whoa, pal, something got your tail in a tizzy." "Well, this should cheer you up." Otto reached into a brown paper bag and pulled out and dangled it in front of my cage. "Something to gnaw on, little buddy," he said, opening the door. "Joy, joy, joy, a tiny dog biscuit. One of Miss Mack's friends gave me one of these once. You can crunch on it forever. Ha ha." Suddenly, there's a smile on your face, Otto. Beamed with pride. "Now I'll clean this room real fast so we can eat our dinner together." I never saw anybody move as fast as Otto. He turned the music up full blast. Then he mopped and polished and swept and scrubbed while I nibbled and gnawed on my biscuits. When he was finished, Otto pulled a chair up to my cage and looked out his big sandwich. "You know, Humphrey, some folks might think I'm crazy talking to a hamster, but you're better companion than a lot of people I know. Here I have a nice salad. It's good for you." He tore off a tiny piece of lettuce and pushed it through the wires of my cage. "Thank you," I squeaked. "You're welcome," said Otto. "So what were we talking about last night?" "Oh, yeah, loneliness. You know I have friends, Humphrey, but during the day when I'd like to do something, go bowling or to a movie or something, they're at work. And when they want to do something, I'm at work. Of course, there's the weekend, but I usually see my family. You know, my brother and his family, my niece and nephews I got a big family. Suddenly, Otto bumped the side of his head with the palm of his hand. Whoa, Humphrey, I never told you my nephew. He's in your class, Richard Renato. He sits over there. He pointed to the far side of the room. He always was the neatest desk in the class. He better, or he'll hear from his uncle. Do you know him, Humphrey? Of course, I squeaked. Repeat that, please, Richie. One of the nicest boys in the classroom, but he mumbled a lot and usually had to repeat something 2 or 3 times to be understood. Otto crunched his bag and tossed it into his trash can. Well, I'm out of here. You know, they got a frog in room 16, but he's not good companion like you are. He sings nicely through. Sing, I'll sing before you, Otto. I squeak, 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 squeak. Don't worry, I don't like him nearly as much as you, my friend, Otto said. He opened the blinds to let the light in. Just as he was going out of the door, Otto said, "See you next week, Humphrey." Next week, a cold, chill came over me. Tomorrow was Friday when Miss Mac was in room 26. She took me home for the weekend, but Miss Brisbane didn't take me home. I'd have 2 very long days and nights with no one, not even Otto, to feed me or chat with me. Even worse, what if Miss Brisbane did take me to her house? What fate would await me there? I had plenty to keep me busy the rest of the night, worrying about Miss Brisbane and how she planned to do away with me. Miss Mac, please come back. Tip 3. Hamsters enjoy a change in route time. Among their favorite activities are eating, grooming themselves, climbing, running, spinning, taking a nap, and being petted. Guide to the care and feeding of hamsters.